The next Mass Effect game will include the Geth. To what capacity remains unknown, but everything BioWare has revealed so far has indicated a rather strong presence in the upcoming sequel. The clip released for last year's N7 Day had an actual Geth speaking, and the poster that was released for the previous year's N7 Day had both the shape of a Geth as the main silhouette of the image and scattered dead Geth bodies on the rocky terrain. So what could all of this mean? First, let's look at the poster. The poster is clearly showing the silhouette of a Geth's head. We even have the lens flare through the image mirroring the same flare of the Geth's lens. But the most important part of this poster is a scattered dead Geth. I've seen some people say that they can see 4 bodies, but I've only been able to find 3. The bodies look like they have been here long enough to be half buried under the ground, and look like they may have either died here a long time ago, or were there when there was a large impact that made the crater in the middle. What is interesting is that this Geth body down here in the front of the crew looks like it's pretty big, even compared to the presumed Krogan on the bottom left. So maybe this is a Geth Prime. Geth Primes were 12 feet tall and equipped with heavy armor and weaponry built for combat. Maybe we are finding the remnants of the Geth investigating something that they felt they needed to defend themselves against. Maybe whatever created the crater killed them. Maybe there was a battle and their remnants were left post-battle. There's a lot of possibilities here, and it could also just be early concepting for the game because the team is still in pre-production. The next thing that BioWare revealed that could point to the return of the Geth is this audio clip. Now, the clip itself is of what looks like to be a mass relay in construction, and maybe this audio is from the relay itself, but my theory is that Liara isn't speaking to a Geth. Because if she was, why wouldn't that Geth be speaking like Legion, where we could understand him because of the translator? Sure, maybe Liara can understand Geth now, but in the past, when Liara spoke to Legion, we could hear the translation. Now, this Geth audio could also be old audio, possibly something recorded during the trilogy when the Geth were alive. And the Geth in the poster were clearly dead, so there is a chance that the Geth could be a thing of the past, but with the Geth being so prevalent in the early stages of reveals, I expect them to be alive and relevant to the plot. So how could the Geth return? The first thing we should consider is how the Geth would have even survived the endings of Mass Effect 3. Obviously, they survive in the Control and Synthesis endings, but not in the Destroy ending. And with the Destroy ending being the most popular ending, and the ending that could be canonized should an ending actually be made canon, then that means the Geth would have somehow survived that ending, if they do end up actually returning, which in reality wouldn't be that hard to make possible. The Geth Conscious was essentially multiple programs running in tandem through supercomputers, moving through various control units, aka bodies. If these programs were saved and backed up, they could be reactivated. Legion was unable to send his own programming to the main hub because he was too far from the Geth fleet, hence why he was unable to be backed up and essentially saved. But this wouldn't have applied to the core of the Geth matrix. Maybe because Geth had achieved consciousness, they had already prepared for a failsafe in case any type of situation like this was going to happen. Maybe the Geth were saved by the Quarians and the Quarians found them and reactivated them, which would really be a way to heal and move forward from the Morning War. I think this would be a really poetic and cathartic storyline that could kind of heal the wounds of the past, especially if resolving the Quarian and Geth war peacefully is made canon. Maybe the Geth were able to use their telescope, the Kalos Array, to find somewhere to go outside of the Milky Way galaxy as a way to survive both the war and the Reapers. Maybe they had figured out how to use it for travel, or as a way to communicate with other galaxies. There really are a lot of ways the Geth could have survived since they are essentially supercomputers. So now that we've explored some possibilities as to how the Geth could actually be alive in the next game, let's look at what that could mean for the plot of the next game. For last year's N7 Day, a poster was released by the Sanshi store and kind of went under a lot of people's radar because on the surface, it just looks like a cool piece of Citadel art. And maybe it is, but to me, it looks like it could be an in-game asset. On the bottom right corner, there is a date, which is kind of hard to make out, but it looks like it could be AB 186 CE. 2186 CE is the year Mass Effect 3 took place, So I'm not exactly sure what this date could be, and this doesn't really look like a 2 to actually make it 2186. But I wonder if this is from shortly after the ending of Mass Effect 3. The logo is also the in-game logo for the Citadel Council. But what is most interesting about this poster is the text at the bottom, which I cannot find elsewhere. It reads, "Distributed by order of the Subcommittee on External Relations in Friendship Toward All, / Peace Eternal, / and the Brotherhood of All Sentient Life." To me, this reads as a pro-Citadel / pro-Council propaganda piece. The main tagline of the poster is "The Seat of Galactic Power." Maybe after the war and ending of Mass Effect 3, there was a shift in power in the galaxy, and the Council is fighting to maintain their power from an opposing uprising power. The poster is also called Citadel Tourism, and the specification of sentient life here is extremely interesting. We know that the main core of Mass Effect's conflict is the organic versus synthetic debate. So this wording specifying sentient could obviously be just referring to all life in the galaxy, both synthetic and organic, or maybe it is exclusionary towards synthetic life, which we know the Council has been before. Maybe with the return of the Geth, they are trying to find their footing within the galaxy and also become a recognized race represented within the Council. We know the Council did not recognize the Geth as a people and were against AI in general. In Mass Effect 1, Tali tells Shepard that by creating the Geth, what they were doing wasn't true AI research. The Quarians may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but they never did anything that was actually illegal. And while this may be technically true, the Quarians creating the Geth led to the advancement of them as true AI, and that upset the Council. The Morning War led to the Council enacting stricter AI laws, and in one of the many archives from the Citadel DLC, we see the Council exterminating AIs who were asking to be spared. The Morning War and the creation of the Geth is also what led to the Quarians having their own embassy revoked by the Citadel Council. And this is why the Council did not step in to help resolve the war. Thus, stricter AI laws on research and development were enacted. So this poster could be a hint to addressing the Geth's growth as a recognized people, or the rejection of the Council who already did not support AI as a whole. Two very different possibilities for the Geth. It could be interesting to see the establishment of a new race within the galaxy, especially if our protagonist is involved. We also don't know very much of what even happened to the Quarians and Geth following Mass Effect 3. And the reality of Mass Effect 3's ending is that we actually don't know how anything happened. There has never been any addressing the endings and how they actually worked, and what the repercussions of the choices were. So this leaves really any possibility for the devs to work with. The endings have to be addressed in the next game. And while we may never get the explanation of how the space magic of it all works, we have to get some kind of explanation as to how the choices had a domino effect on the races of the Milky Way galaxy, including the Geth. As mentioned earlier, we know how they survived the control and synthesis endings, but in the destroy ending, Hackett says that we can rebuild everything that was lost. And while the Geth were sentient and did have a consciousness, they were also AIs built on computers, machines, and programs. I believe they could be easily brought back, and the Geth absolutely should return. Legion was such an amazing companion, and he was so underutilized in Mass Effect 2 that I firmly believe they should bring back a new Geth for a companion, one that we could have throughout an entire game. And while none of the current concept art pieces look like they have a Geth walking around, this isn't something that they would reveal right now anyways. It's too early into development, and BioWare is still very much in the show little, speculate a lot phase. The Geth really had one of the most interesting stories in all of the Mass Effect games. They began as our mysterious, relentless enemy to becoming one of our most sympathetic allies, once we discovered the truth of their history. It's a dark one, and we learn through Legion's quest that they were really the victims in the Morning War. The Quarians shot first, and the Geth were never really given a chance to simply exist without conflict. I would really love it if the next game recognizes them as a people, gives them a seat on the council, and gives us a Geth as a companion. So what do you think? How do you think we will see the Geth in the next game? Would you like to see a new Geth companion? And how would you feel if the Geth and Quarian War was canonically resolved peacefully? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.